Hey, we're here.
Hello, hello.
Hello. How is everybody?
We're live right
Yeah.
now.
Oh, yeah.
Hello.
Good.
Welcome to this. I couldn't tell if you were just saying hi to the
Oh,
team.
so sorry.
Welcome to this week's edition of Vishal and Company. Today we are back talking about Wall Street bets and how retail money is flowing back into stocks, how the Russell 2000 confirmed this sentiment, and the ways in which institutions are covering their shorts in preparation. I also have a note here that just says Joseph CRTC rant on telecom prices. So, looking forward to that. We have a ton to talk about today, so I will just get right into it and pass it over to Vishal.
So, wild week, Maddie, on Wall Street. Wild, but a bit bizarre. I mean, it's been a strange week. You can see here, these are the daily candles of the S&P 500. We haven't actually done anything this week until today. So this is today's large green buy candle, but it's very similar on the NASDAQ and also on, well, yeah, a very big candle on the NASDAQ today, and also on the Dow as well. When I mean bizarre, I mean we've been seeing the US dollar wanting to break out. We've been seeing the Japanese yen wanting to break out. We've been seeing bonds being sold off. We've been seeing a risk sentiment and indices doing nothing and basically just meme stops popping once again. And yeah, I mean it's been a wild week. It's been a fun week, and the reason why we're seeing a bigger bounce now in the equity markets is well, it seems now that because of the job data, Fed is now not it's not enough to get the Fed talking about tapering. So I think we'll probably be talking about this next week, but it just means now that more cheap money is expected, and it's something that we've been saying on this show for quite some time, and also over on Market Moment. Speaking about Market Moment, we discussed this in my posts last week, but we were seeing the Russell 2000 sort of do its own thing. And once again, the Russell 2000 is the small cap index. And I think we might have even talked about this 2 weeks ago. But we were talking about, the retail meme crowd basically following Elon Musk here. And here we go. He has a Bitcoin heartbreak post about this meme. I guess it's a Linkin Park song. But I know CNBC is talking about how this was bad for Bitcoin.
Oh, yeah.
But we saw a lot of that retail money, run into cryptos, and the crypto space, really hasn't been doing much since May 19th. It's just been ranging here up and down, and a lot of people, including me, were talking about that retail meme crowd now leaving cryptos and heading back
To
into,
AMC.
yeah, exactly, yep, into the meme stocks, right? So the Russell was sort of giving us a bit of that money flows because again, out of all the stock indices, actually, the Russell you can see here had a large green day on June 1st, whereas everything else was just ranging. And Galen, you just said it, but let's take a look and brace yourself, guys.
Even the
Look at
senior
that.
management at AMC is going, hold the on, guys. Stop spending the money. We This isn't right. This doesn't make
Yeah,
any sense. You're going to
yeah. So
lose
I just
all of
want
it.
to
That's basically what
I,
actually it is what they're saying.
I just want to show you guys quickly. This was that technical chart I showed a few days ago, and I'm saying, hey, look, that break above $20 is huge. We can take out 30, we can take out 36. Boom, we took out those levels with ease, and in fact, on that 36 level, we actually came back to retest it, and we hit highs of 72. But AMC 100K, 500K is trending on Twitter. Doubt it's gonna reach that, but I mean, what a way to make a comeback to the meme space here. And GME, of course, not really doing much at all. So it's like everything
Really?
has been focused. Yeah,
Sorry.
not really, not much. It hasn't done much at all. It's just been dying here. But it's really BB, BlackBerry, of course, that had another huge pop.
Again,
And
because of
it
the meme
actually
crowd.
Yep, exactly. So, again, you got to follow the money flows. This is all about rotation, rotation. Even if you're not, trading memes and cryptos, rotation matters. If you're looking at energy, if you're looking at banking, you just gotta go with the money flows, right? And as they say, follow the money. And BB was a huge pop here. Me personally, I played an option call on BB and made a nice 400% gain in a day, which it's quite rare, but not when you're trading meme stocks. I've seen people making thousands of percent on AMC, but that's something you can play, and hopefully people now are actually understanding that you have to take profits after what's happened here. Because a lot of people turned out to be bag holders, but it looks like people are taking profits rather than holding to 100K. But keep an eye out on this, and there's other companies here that I want to quickly go over because a lot of the articles were talking about what's the next squeeze, right? But if you go on WSB, on Wall Street Bets, everyone's only talking about BlackBerry and AMC, right? Pets here had this huge squeeze too. I mean, that's a 58% gain. PetMed Express, no one really knows why because they're saying it's the Wall Street Bets crowd, but there's no mention of pets on the Wall Street Bets crowd. So a lot of the talk is that the institutions actually are covering their shorts, right? So again, when you cover your short, when you close a short position to take profits, those orders turn into buy orders. Um, and a lot of people are saying that the institutional crowd, seeing what's happening on AMC and BlackBerry, sort of got spooked and decided to, close shorts on all these other heavily shorted stocks. So Pets was one. Believe it or not, Tootsie Roll, which a lot of people are sort of surprised still. Trades here, Tootsie Roll. I mean, look what Tootsie Roll did when there was a short squeeze back in January, which is actually incredible for a company that only sells one taffy product, which was crazy. But a lot of other people looking at Naked Brands is getting a bit of a bid here, but not as heavy as AMC and BB, of course. So we're not really seeing that retail crowd running into these other stocks here, but watch the institutional crowd. I think a lot of them are covering their shorts just to be safe. I mean, if they're covering their shorts, they're making money anyways because we're assuming they shorted somewhere around here anyways. But another thing I got to mention, a lot of people are saying, why are the indices going down while the meme stocks and other stocks are pumping? And a lot of people don't understand, but algos that the banks use, the algorithms that large banks use, they're not necessarily made to trade a single stock, right? You don't build an algo to say, okay, I'm going to trade this stock, or that stock. A lot of these algos, they're based off of the S&P and the Nasdaq and the Dow, right? So again, the way these indices are composed, if the SPY, if the Nasdaq, if the Dow are green for the day, it means that three out of five stocks have to be green, right? Just mathematics. So if you have an algo, it would be buying three out of five stocks would be positive for it. And it would be buying, right? The algo would be buying because of the green, because the majority of the stocks must be green if the S&P 500 is green. Conversely, if the S&P 500 is red, it means three out of five stocks are going to be red, right? So that's how most of these algos are programmed, and it seemed that with the indices down, they were trying to get the algos to short, some of these meme stocks, but it just didn't work. We had the retail crowd going in, so there was a bit of a battle, and like I mentioned, it was very bizarre in terms of money flows. But you could clearly see that they were trying to sort of handle the situation over on AMC and BlackBerry. But this time, we didn't see any brokers limiting shares like last time. So maybe we see this going forward. I'm not sure if you guys have any thoughts on a rotation out of crypto into the meme stocks. Do you guys think this money now is going to be leaving the meme stocks? Maybe I'll ask Joseph since he follows the cryptos. But do you think the money is going to be leaving these stocks here after making
It
what
should,
100% gains here?
they should, unless they want to lose their
Yep.
fucking shirt. Like the
Right.
AMs, as I said, senior management at AMC said this is a fucking mistake. Why the hell are you guys buying our stock? There's no possible way we could live up to the capitalization they're giving us. Like, what are you doing, right?
Well,
And it's
at
true.
least,
And
yeah.
it's it. You know what? We got to stop playing the short game. The short game is killing us. It's making a lot of people, well, not a lot of people. It's making a few people very rich. I think what people have to understand is, again, that during the gold rush, it wasn't every prospector walking home with gold loaded in their pockets. 95% of them didn't do diddly. They lost everything, right? It was only a very few that made out. And it's just like the stock market. It's not a win-win situation, right? It's a zero-sum game. For you to capitalize on it, somebody else has got to lose their shirt, right? And right now, there's a lot of people losing their shirt, still thinking they're making out like bandits. It's time to settle down and take a look at fundamentals. Look at the market for what it really is, because we're about to head into a roller coaster that's only going to be exacerbated with this fucking daily dance of investment.
Right. Yeah. And like you just mentioned, the AMC guys, the board, they actually issued, I think, like 20 million new shares. So I mean, it's smart on their end that they're raising capital with these high stock prices. But of course, that means that they're actually selling shares and sort of taking out some of these retail guys. But hey, if you're holding AMC shares, you get free popcorn and I believe exclusive screening rights.
Oh
if
my
you can
God!
prove you bought shares.
That's better than anything. Sorry.
PK, any thoughts, man, on this wild week or bizarre week, wild week, whatever you want to call it?
I actually hadn't watched any of the AMC stuff until I think like yesterday. It kind of went under my my purview, and then when I started looking at it, I was like, oh, it's just another GameStop thing happening again. So I looked past it, but I did have a call, I think Thursday afternoon, with one of these institutional guys, and he's the one who brought it up, and he's like, he was talking about, he was like, he asked me like, you know how right now who a market participant is changing, and I was like, yeah, I get that, and he's like, that's a trend that's happening, and it's not like we're ignoring it. It's just the people in suits like myself are at home right now, and we were not as active, but we're there, we're watching. And I was like, that's a pretty ominous, thing to say.
Yeah,
And he's like, it's the truth, and I'm not going to BS you. It's a part of the conversation, but people shouldn't get ahead of themselves. And I was like, wow, man, no taken, no taken. But yeah, it's interesting. Even they're saying, yeah, we seeing it. It's like a pinch, but moving on. Not much to say about it.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, I say the same thing. It's like I don't necessarily trade any of these stocks, but I did play that BB calls just because I had. I mean, I found them for really cheap. But again, the S&P 500 is not just composed. Well, I mean, AMC is not even part of the S&P 500. But, the markets are not composed of only AMC and BlackBerry and these meme stocks. I think there's other places that you can look at and still make money. So hopefully, some of the new retail crowd, they understand that.
Joseph, what do you think about what Vishal was saying about money moving out of crypto?
Well, for the most part, I think this is mostly people who probably cut their teeth, speculated in crypto, and they don't know. Maybe they don't have the knowledge base required to be able to do their due diligence of what is and is not an effective company. So maybe they just rely on their friends on Reddit. Like these aren't folks who read these who do the required reading to be able to learn the skills to be able to figure out what is and is not a good company. I mean, that's why I think you see money moving in from like these core companies here to back to crypto and back to these companies.
I'm just showing you guys WSB here, and it's all about BlackBerry right now. BlackBerry and look at this one GME post here, but it's mostly BlackBerry right now. And again, putting yourself in these guys' shoes. We were talking about this in the live chat, but now that AMC is over, what is it, over $50, does BlackBerry seem like the next cheapest one at $13? So we'll just keep an eye out on that heading into next week.
It's interesting, and I think another reason, perhaps, and it's just my speculation on this part, is that the reason why people are leaving crypto as well is because they're also discovering that there's a tremendous volatility. Now, admittedly, the volatility is done through uneducated investment and people that are easily swayed by Elon Musk's tweets. And I have no idea why the SEC has not cracked down on him yet. They've warned him again and said that his tweets have not been vetted by his management before he sent them out to the crowd. But nobody's actually going, you know what? You can't tweet anymore. You got to stop, right? And that's basically what has to happen, because every move that he makes now is a market manipulation.
There's more to Bitcoin's volatility than just Elon Musk tweets. I mean, I would actually be curious just to find out how much influence he actually has. I mean, for the most part, I mean, given all that's going on in China right now, especially with Inner Mongolia and Chinese government cracking down on cryptocurrency trading over there, I'm curious how much of that is actually affecting the price volatility.
I think there is a reaction to that, but it's more of a long-standing reaction by people that are actually sort of looking at it institutionally and saying, well, in the long run, this could be a shit show, so I'm going to back out. But there is a decided difference in crypto pricing after every Musk tweet. Just like there was a difference in the market activity after a Trump tweet, right? There is a power to his voice. And since he's eliminated his PR department, he is the only voice. So therefore should be regulated. Now he communicates to the public. And I noticed now that he's stopped sort of tweeting things. Right. Well, no, he's tweeting stuff about Neuralink that's absolutely physically impossible, saying that they're going to replace human communication in the next 15 years. That's the reason why the guy that actually started that company left, because he was tired of having to deal with this hyperbole, which is essentially absolute bullshit. It's not even an exaggeration. Musk is his reasoning behind everything he does, and sorry to harp on him again, is that he puts a carrot in front of you just long enough down the road that you have to sort of go, well, you know, who knows? He's done wacky things before, and he'll get all sorts of money in the meantime, building a moat that when the time rolls in, he doesn't have to conform to his promise. And he's never really followed through.
Yeah, he's made a lot of promises, but he hasn't fulfilled.
He's a shitty businessman. He's a great showman, but he's a shitty businessman. I mean, there's all sorts of bragging about his beginnings in college, about paying for his university degree by running a nightclub out of his fucking house. Did he actually get a business license? Did he have a liquor license? Did he follow the regulations that go along with running a club? No, he didn't. So basically what we're doing is we're celebrating the fact that this guy cut all the fucking corners and didn't compete fairly in the market. Sorry.
Now he's being paid handsomely for it.
Yeah.
So I was looking at because the big topic now, a lot of what people are arguing about with Elon, the AMC stuff, the GameStop, Bitcoin, etc. is finally Americans are equally getting wealthier because there's a greater distribution of people coming into the market. And he says he loves that. He loves people coming into the market. And I mean, I don't blame him. If people are bidding up your stock, you're getting wealthier from it, I would say the same thing. But me being me, I looked up from the FDIC.
Who would have thought we'd see headlines like this? Up memes or cut
heart emoji. I looked up stats from the FDIC to see the total deposits from 2015, I think, to 2020. So I didn't put 2021. And they went from a total, so this is all the regulated financial institutions in the US. They went from 12 trillion in 2016 to 17 trillion last year.
Wow. And
from that, it gradually increased from 2016 to 2019 by 1 million each year. And then from 2019 to 2020 was a $5 trillion increase in deposits.
Wow.
In the US. And on average, that means per person, the Americans went from having $30,000 in deposits to $54,000 in deposits in 2020.
Yeah.
So it's a a massive wealth transfer that's happening, and some people are benefiting from it more than others. Elon, Kathy Woods, Bezos himself are benefiting, and others are being punished for it. And kind of what Galen is, alluding to. I love poker, and poker, if you can't see who the idiot is in the game,
it's
you. And it happens a lot in the market, and right now everybody's feeling like the genius. So I'm waiting to see, who comes out.
For people who are interested in poker and trading, this book here, The Mental Game of Poker, Proven Strategies for Improving Tilt Control, Confidence, Motivation, Coping with Variance, and more. It's actually, it's a book on poker. This author here, Jared Tendler, is actually a coach for even golfers on, the Pro Tour as well, because this book, believe it or not, is not only about poker, but it's actually one of the most popular books on trading or anything that requires, any mental games and risk as well. So I highly recommend this book as well for people who are interested in poker, but trading as well.
I am going to pass it on to Joseph to hear his little rant on the Canadian Radio, Television, and Telecommunications Commission. If he's here.
All right, okay, I'm still here. Just flip it over to voice activity so I can talk without having to push a button down.
Cool.
All right. So get ready to pay more for your internet. Is everyone almost suitably bankrupted from the amount they pay every month? I know I am. I pay ridiculous amounts of money, and I can't stand that.
We're about to pay more.
Oh yeah, we're going to pay more. You can guarantee. There's two specific reasons why we're going to pay more. First off, we should point a few things out. My throat is not liking me very much today. So,
I love you, Joseph, just so you know. Your throat may
Thank
not,
you.
but I love you.
Yeah, crap. Well, Canada's internet and wireless infrastructure is dominated by the big three. Loving it today. Lease out access to anyone looking to compete. Unfortunately, that's not competition. We have three national wireless carriers. Now, three national wireless carriers is not a competitive market. We can't necessarily prove these carriers are colluding to fix prices, except maybe have a look at your bill. I've been with two or three of these service providers, and you get about the same for more or less the same product. Just still vastly less than what my cousins are paying in Scotland or some of my friends are paying in the States. Same is true of your cell phone. Have a look at your cell bill. Subtract the tab, and you get an idea of the general amount you're going to pay based on the type of service you're getting from each of the three providers. You can't tell me that's not price collusion. The problem, naturally, and I've said this before, is that legislative barriers to entry in the Canadian marketplace are put forth by the CTR, or Canadian Telecommunications Act, and reinforced by the upgraded NAFTA, which maintains the general exception for Canada's cultural industries by keeping doors closed to other countries' cultural industries, except in special cases. That means that Disney can't come up here and set up a core Disney company. They have to make Disney Canada or Disney North, which is not going to be the same. It's not going to have the same amount of backing. It means that we can't get Verizon up here to offset the cost that Rogers is going to make us pay for our internet. We don't have these options. Also, I can't believe that nobody is talking about the Rogers Media buying Shaw. We need more competition in this country, not less. My favorite quote in defense of the merger is the following from Joe Natel, the president and CEO of Rogers Communication. Rogers and Shaw need to combine to get more competitive. The reason behind this is that Shaw wasn't a big enough company to make the necessary 5G upgrade, which would be valid if it didn't further reduce the competitive telecom marketplace options for consumers. In the end, I mean, you can't really blame these circumstances on the companies themselves. They're cozy, living large behind walls protected by protectionist legislation. But a fish in a fishbowl can only grow as large as the container that holds it, right? I mean, we can't, unless we fling down these borders, unless we eliminate these restrictions to market entry, the rent's going to be down to 2 companies, and they're just they're going to jack up sky high prices, and everyone's going to be beholden to the telecommunications companies. I mean, does anyone else want to weigh in on this?
Oh yeah, sure. I'm always angry. Of the industrialized countries, we pay the most for internet and for mobility, cell mobility. It's been that way for a long time. The CRTC initially, I mean, it is a regulatory body, but the idea was also culturally to ensure that Canadian content didn't get drowned out in the deluge of content that's available outside.
Which is ridiculous.
Well, yeah, and no. I mean, I think it's nice to be able to have a supportive arm that will get your stuff out there. The nepotism and cronyism aside, I think it serves a bit of a function, allowing artists, as long as it's not fucking Grimes, sorry, to do stuff on the government dime, which he's still doing apparently. Wonderful.
Well,
I think to a certain extent, the removing of the idea to allow competition to flourish in this country is backward. It is an old boys' school idea of protecting the guys that are sort of the big kids and have all the influence in government at this point in time. The idea is to get more good competition up here, but not necessarily take the money out of the country either. So that's another thing I would have to put forward. To have a big
my problem is the CRTC doesn't make sense anymore. I mean, it was an institution invented before the internet made all borders porous. I mean, I can go on like I don't watch Canadian content. I mean, the CRTC actually wants to force Netflix and other agencies to put Canadian content on, but for the most part, I still don't have to watch it. I go on Netflix. I have YouTube. I can go find whatever I want, and I don't have to worry about Celine Dion ruining my day anymore. I'd like to apologize for American.
Sorry.
I'd like Ceylon. You say Ceylon?
Yeah, I did. Sorry. It's Canoe Reeves, but I like them both. I think they're decent human beings. I shouldn't say stuff like that. Who am I? I'm some fucking punk.
I've never thought of Celine Dion as Ceylon before. That's great.
So Joseph, what do you think happens next? I'm reading here about this company Tech Savvy, I guess, which is a smaller.
I've really pissed off one of our viewers. I'm very sorry. The comments about and it's mostly because my mouth can't wrap around the proper pronunciation. I was jokingly being a jerk. See, there it happened again. So she is a queen. I'm so sorry. Rage. Okay, I won't even bother to say that because I couldn't say Ceylon. I just said it again. Never mind. My mouth should be shut. I'm going to step away from the mic.
So Joseph, like we're hearing like Tech Savvy, I guess a smaller telecom in Ontario. Some of these guys want to try to overturn the CRT decision, but I mean, what do you think? Do you think they have any sway?
I don't know if it has any. I don't have any. I'm sorry. I don't know if it has enough political will to be able to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got the NDP online, but I mean, the NDP have what, like 4 people?
Right.
4 people seating in. What are you going to be able to do with that? Yeah. I mean, it's a liberal government, and it is a liberal majority government. And if the liberal majority government wants something, then they're going to get it.
Yeah.
And this is, I mean, we have Ian Scott there, who is the CEO, or the controlling person behind the CRTC right now. And I mean, he's a former vice president of TELUS.
Mm-hmm. You're right. Yeah, we're talking about that.
Does he golf on the weekends with them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, how is that
And-
not a direct conflict of interest?
Exactly. And we saw this, we made the comparison yesterday and we talked about the SEC, the guys who are supposed to regulate the banks. When they leave the SEC, they
Where
end
do they
up
go
working.
to work? Yeah.
Yeah, they work for JP Morgan and the banks, right? So
There should be a
bit of a
5
conflict of
to
interest
5 to
there,
10
too.
year. Now, I understand this is probably not that great, but I mean, I think there should be a pause period between your time in government and your ability to go into a sector that you once were sort of regulating or whatever, because that means at least the contacts that you had in the government will have waned enough that you don't become an incredible influence.
Right.
I don't know. You show up at the country club and it's like, hey, I'll buy you a couple drinks and maybe send you a Maserati if you maybe put it on the floor.
I'll take a Maserati. I'll sell it, but
Yeah.
I'll take it.
I agree. Nice car. Probably not enough to be corrupt over.
No. Hey, TK, what do you think about all this?
I haven't heard of this whole thing. The only thing I've seen is the Rogers buying Shaw thing.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, that's pretty interesting. I don't know if it's gone through right now, but they're kind of focusing on that company that's the railways right now. A railway is being bought, so they kind of more resources are going at that to fix Canadian railways and imports and exports. So I haven't really seen much about the Rogers and Telus with Rogers and Shaw thing, which is weird because I would assume they're pretty big and there would be some backlash, but it's a trend I've kind of noticed with a lot of the competition stuff that's going on. Was a deal announced last year where Air Canada was trying to buy Air Transat.
Air Transat.
I might be butchering the names, but the deal didn't go through last year because the EU didn't allow it to go through because of competition stuff. But Canada allowed the deal to go through, and I think they're just really easy on competition right now, and they're allowing a lot of consolidations. It is troubling for a lot of people if they're just allowing a lot of these big guys to just merge.
Yep.
Without any repercussions in. And I think he just got a $30 billion grant or a loan or something as well. So it's just putting more pressure on regulators to
I
actually
think
do.
the CEOs paid themselves like $10 million as well.
Yep.
For the
Some
quarter.
just, yeah.
Yeah, $10 million in bonuses.
$10 million in bonuses. Yeah.
So, Maddie, what's your take on the CRTC and what's going on?
I honestly am with TK. I did not know about any of this. So I'm gonna have to do my research and form an opinion. I'm not happy about my internet bill costing more though.
I got you.
I'm certain of that.
Do you think we need a regulatory agency to make sure that there's enough Canadian content on air?
I mean, I think yeah, but maybe that comes from someone who's in the arts. I think
Understood.
it's so important
I do
to
too, actually.
watch
Tom.
Canadian content and
Yeah.
support Canadians, but
You know
I
what's
come
actually
from one
the
side. Mhm.
first experience ever with it was so I'm coming from Zimbabwe, completely new to Canadian culture, more exposed to the US. And we had to take elective courses, and I took a communications class. And the whole class was based off this whole agreement. And they gave us a whole thing about it and said it was so beneficial for the economy because Canadian productions were coming through and it was cheaper. But then Americans started to arbitrage. They would record here instead of recording in the US where it's more expensive, and it still benefited here. The whole essence of it was it's such a benefit. And obviously that's my impression of it is it seems to have done more good than bad. Seeing stuff now when a little bit later on, I'm like, oh yeah, if there are people colluding and benefiting more than others, I can see where the problem starts. But when we initially get here, the first thing I heard is it's a great system, and it kind of made more sense. I was watching the Flash. Then, my buddy told me, oh yeah, that's, just downtown there. And I'm like, it's an American show. What you talking about? And he's like, no, there's a whole thing. And then when I took the class, it made more sense to me. And I was like, I get why they set it in place, but I also get what, Joseph is saying is it was made at a different time where you were limited to what you could watch.
Yeah.
And now with the ability to watch anything I do,
Mhm.
I'm not sure how much of an influence it has.
Well, at that time too, were they factoring in like the arbitrage between the Canadian dollar and the U.S. dollar? Usually historically the U.S. dollar has been stronger, but now things are changing.
CRTC.
It is modifying somewhat. I mean, I'd have to agree with Maddie in terms of being a person that did work in the industry, that it does help ensure that we are getting employed rather than just being a fucking location, which was how it started, basically, until we started, pulling our pants up and going, hey, you got to start including us in this. And it gave opportunity to a lot of really talented people and people that really want to work hard and get this shit done that would never really have had that opportunity. Because let's face it, going to LA is like disappearing into an ocean unless you're already a star. So, it gives people an opportunity in a smaller market to really show their wares. And there has been some really good finds. But, the drawbacks and the cons of it, of course, is the nepotism, the cronyism, and, people that have lived off the government teat for 20 years and have never produced squat, just know how to write a good grant letter and know how to sort of show a budget where they used all the money, right? So I don't know how we find the happy ground on that. I know that the ground has changed and that, as TK said, there is now sort of an open, and Joseph, of course, brought it up originally, that there is an open border in terms of what we can see and watch and not really being sort of confined to what we, can see. I don't know where to go from here. It's a tough one.
Well, I think first up, originally I was going to entitle this rant, CRTC is garbage and needs to be tossed out. But I'm not entirely sure that's the case. Like I as I was looking through it and giving some thought, I kind of changed my mind on that. What I think it needs to be is it needs to be upgraded. Its mandate needs to be expanded. If it's going to protect Canadian content, it needs to be expanded to include the internet and in a global capacity. I mean, I'm not entirely sure how it would do that, but obviously it requires more funding, or it needs to be, I don't know, it either needs to be expanded or it needs to be have functions taken away from it. Like it needs to, I don't know, maybe partially nationalized newspapers so it can actually protect the ways that information goes out. It needs to maybe have more say on who can and cannot merge. I mean, it's very limited in mandating when it can and what it can and cannot do in terms of telecommunications companies and communications companies in general, and how they merge to forestall this pandemic of concentration in the media landscape we have going on in Canada.
Makes sense.
Wow.
And I think it's possible, drawing reference from the US, they've been having a case with, I always butcher the name, but the FHA, I think Federal Housing something. But before they didn't have as much jurisdiction with housing. And a lot of the arguments now is kind of, we need to give it more control over who can come in and who can go out, how long you can be there, and how long you can work in mortgages after that. The reason it's popping up because they nationalized Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac,
right,
and it's become less efficient because of it, and constitutional rights and stuff are coming up. But it's possible to actually change a system that's been in there for a while for the bit of general population. It's possible.
On that note, we have reached our time. Thank you so much to everyone for watching, and we will be back same time next week.
See ya, everybody.
Yeah.